Got the new tank already? Watch that video. Now you want to see how to put a background, substrate, plumb the filtration, and get the rock set up for the fish that you've decided to keep. If you've answered yes, then let's go! Test fit everything you buy to include canister filtration hoses, clips, background rocks, you name it, scape it, test it. You gotta do it. There's a reason. Ordered Sun Suns, didn't receive Sun Suns, and pre-planned for Sun Suns. Is a hiccup, but we'll continue and we'll get over it. Come on. What's going on, everybody? It's Jay Wilson, and we are looking at the Scape. So you saw just a few moments ago how we scaped. The rock in that dead center, again, is silicone and is not an actual rock. But we have some other rocks that'll be listed below in the comments. This is the canyon background, and I measured for the Sun Suns plumbing, and I got these in the mail. Not even real Sun Suns. It's a knockoff of another Chinese brand. How awesome. So I had to adapt because I could not wait because of the time frame. So what I did was I patched the holes, which you couldn't see anyways, with some black plastic that would be used for trim behind the background with some aquarium grade silicone. And I'm simply going to put these on the outside now, which yes, kind of sucks, but you have to work with what you got. So I'm going to continue setting this up. You can see how I do it. And then in the next video that you watch of getting a new aquarium, you're going to see how I set up my filtration. All right, let's watch how we set this up. All right, I really like the way it all came out. It just kind of flowed perfectly. The rock in the center needs to be silicone because it will float. It's a prototype, and this is a prototype. All the other rocks will sink. I'm going to silicone the background in once I get everything fitted for the filtration. I'm gonna make a cut there and a cut here in terms of the background. The canyon background looks really cool. It's got a lot of ledges for the fish to pick off of. And I went with a non-J. Wilson traditional sand. Typically I do a Carib Sea Sahara, but instead I'm gonna be doing a Carib Sea sugar grain. I don't know if you can see that on camera really well, but it's almost like a white tan. Really neat. I think it's gonna flow really well. I don't know if you can see that on camera, how awesome that looks, but it's gonna allow the fish's color to pop. On top of that, I think that adding the sand after I get everything situated makes for a better scape. Whether the fish ruin it or not, that's another thing. So join me while I cut the crap out of this background with a hole saw, silicone some rocks in, get everything ready for the filtration. All right, come on. Measure once, cut twice, or measure twice, cut once. Hole saw, pretty simple. Make sure it matches the size tubing you're using for a canister filter, if in fact you're using canister filters. This seems to be really easy. I punch the hole out, rock and roll. You'll learn later, didn't even need to do this because, well, the canisters that I received were not in fact what I ordered from Amazon, but I actually like them. Video to follow. Just make sure you clean up the holes that you punch through any background. Now I work with Universal Rocks backgrounds. I've never worked with other brands, but they're easy to cut. They're easy to trim. I'm using a straight deboning knife. And then when I'm done, I pressure wash the living crap out of it. This is up to 4,000 PSI. Nothing happens. Gets it clean. Gets all the dust and soot right off of it. Yeah, you're watching right. I'm not siliconing. I'm actually using the intake tubes and the returns to the filtration to hold the background up top. The substrate will hold it at the bottom. If you don't know how to put together a canister filter, look to the instructions. And if it doesn't come with instructions, just really look at it and connect a hose to the intake, a hose to the return, and those two hoses go right back to the canister. Pretty self-explanatory. What I do is I crisscross them at the end. So intake for the left canister on the right, intake for the right canister on the left, and then the returns is up to you. I've been doing that ever since I started with canisters, and it works for me. It's easier to prime. I don't get any micro bubbles or any issues of them competing to pull water out of the aquarium to filter it. The next step is just making sure that there's not enough slack or too much slack within your canister filter hoses, because that could cause the pump not to filter the proper amounts of water. Just read the box, read the instructions. It should tell you exactly where to put what media, but I'll do a video on how I set mine up. And what I do may work for me, it may not work for you. So this didn't take me very long because, well, it's at 20 times the speed. All right, now you've seen how I've put the background in, put the rocks stationary. Now it's time to add the sand. So if you look in the back, you can see I've got the filter plumbing already done, but the filters aren't hooked up because I want to get the sand in. Then we want to add water. Then I'm going to prep the filters because I'm going to be taking seeded media from another filter and putting it in one of these. All right, let's add the sand. My goodness, I hate sand. Oh, hey, it's cleared up. Yeah, use sponge filters to help speed up the process. Works wonders. Now here's the key. I like to put the sand in while everything's scaped and ready to rock. I think it adds for a better touch, a more natural look. And then the fish seem to, I don't know, I guess the fish seem to know exactly what to do with the sand and makes it look, I can't wait till you see it when it's all filled up. I mean, I saw it today because I'm filming this ahead of time, and it looks simply amazing. Now, when I fill up the tank, I didn't know this 5 years ago. I probably learned this about 4 years ago. Put the hose inside of a cup, a bucket, not on a plate, but inside something so that it can overflow into the aquarium instead of pumping at massive amounts of speed and kicking up all of that sand. You don't want to do that. You don't want the aquarium to look like crap. And ultimately, I've washed this sand 6 or 7 times, just the kind of churn and burn method with my hand, let it sit, and then I put sponge filters in to help clear it up, and then put it in the aquarium, then put water in, and that's pretty much it. The water's straight from the tap. It's a hose. I'll test the water because I'm going to use stability. I am on crunch time with this aquarium, so I don't recommend rushing anything, but the fish, as you can see, I'm working in the back, but the fish that I was receiving were coming at really a couple weeks notice, and I hadn't even started the aquarium, so it sparked me to do this kind of series to show you how I set it up, document how I set it up, and hopefully you learned maybe a couple tips that'll help you out in terms of setting up a new aquarium much faster. So this is it. It's pretty much hose and cup, let it fill up, and as you can see, I'm not kicking up any massive amounts of sand, causing any major issues, and I'm so glad that phone call ended and the aquarium didn't overflow. All right, folks, water's in, background's in, substrate's in, rocks are in, and all of the plumbing for the filtration that we're using is in. The next step is ultimately to turn on the filters. What's in the filters? That'll be another video for you folks to check out. But you're also going to see how fast I can get an aquarium clear, especially utilizing new Carib Sea sand. I may throw some sponges in to speed that process up a little quicker, but really I've been washing this sand for about a week. I use sponge filters in each bucket to keep it looking lush, getting it in here, looking at it. It's not too cloudy. I'm then gonna clean up the glass just to make sure that all the spots are off once it gets clear. So that's it. Let's turn on the filters, get it rocking for the fish that are coming at the end of this week. All right, you saw it. It's pretty simple. Hole saw, wash, put in. I didn't even silicone it. I used the filtration returns to keep it up, the background that is. Everything's scaped, the water's in, the sand is good. It's not as cloudy as I thought it was gonna be. And then the next video, I'll talk about filtration, and then we'll talk about fish. I'm really excited for this series. I hope you're learning a lot. I hope it's giving you inspiration to get on to the next project or to start a new tank of your own. And thank you so much for watching. You know what's next. Aha!